Alright, we are back in the fly-by-wire experimental mod on our way to Myanmar today. Let me just confirm that I'm actually online. Looks like I am. Perfect. So, yes, we are here in Paro, where if you recall, when we arrived, weather was a bit worse. Weather was not as nice as it looks today, and we actually had to execute a go-around because visibility was so low. And then our second attempt was absolutely insane. Feel free to check out that video if you'd like, because it was a lot of fun. This is going to be way more relaxed. We are heading to Myanmar. It's going to be a little bit under 2 hours in the sky, and because it is a little later on the East Coast than usual, I'm going to try to get to our takeoff roll as quickly as possible. So in the spirit of that, we'll go ahead and hop in the cockpit and get things rolling. So first things first, get our power online, turn on those batteries. And external power. Fantastic. We'll do our initial flow. Screw supply on, ground control on. Start getting the aiders aligned. All the systems coming to life. We'll keep the fuel pumps off for now. We'll get our nav and logo lights on. Various interior lights set. Get some integrated lights on the dome going. And do our initial fire test so we can get that APU going. Once we get the APU on, then we'll start boarding, because that tends to take the longest. Okay, that's all good and ready. APU is set to on. And start. And we'll let that spool up. And while that spools up, we'll go ahead and set up, adjust the lighting on our dash displays a bit. We'll set up the glare shield once we get our ATIS, but for now, we'll just turn off the co-pilot flight director and get his screens off, or his or her screens off, because we don't have a co-pilot tonight. It's just us. So here, let's get these displays a little higher in the brightness and do our initial checks here. So landing gear confirmed down, lever is down, brake pressure, time is correct, anti-skid is on, and let's check engine oil quantity is fine. We have cockpit oxygen pressure, and we have hydraulic levels. Great. Go back to the APU. APU is now available. So go ahead and turn on the APU bleed, and we are free now to start loading passengers. So let's get that going really quick. Alright. Weight and balance. How many passengers do we have today? 133. Nice and modest. Get that boarding started. And there they go. Next up, let's get that fueling going. So to figure out what fuel we need for today, let's consult our operating flight plan. First, let's sync up with SimBrief. And we'll record our ATIS information now that we're looking at it. For Victor, Quebec, Papa Romeo, which is the Paro airport where we currently are parked, QNH is 1018, winds are light 360 at 5, temperature is 1, dew point -4. So we may want to get take off with the icing on if we're going to be passing through some clouds before we get to a higher altitude. But we'll play that by ear. I usually, actually, just for interest sake, just test things. Let's wait to see if we get any anti-icing warnings before we flip that on. All right, to the operating flight plan. We'll brief this in just a sec, but let's start our fuel right now. But before we do the fuel, let's just confirm that the basics are correct. So Paro to Myanmar, and our alternate today is Victor Yankee Yankee Yankee. Looks like trip fuel contingency alternate, that's all there. I'm not expecting any inclement weather. I did check the weather report while I was waiting for the sim to load, but just to confirm, departure, decent visibility, minimal clouds, and destination, decent visibility, broken clouds, calm winds. I'm not expecting to need more fuel than what's being planned for, so let's go ahead and load up 6957 total. 6957. That'll take about 4 minutes to fuel up. Alright, So that's all good. So now that we have boarding ongoing and fueling underway, let's go ahead and do our initial flows. Just to check the overhead, no whites except for the fuel pumps, which is expected. We'll go ahead and on our glare shield, we'll now set our QNH for this departure, which is 1018. Turn on constraints, and that looks good. Let's get some integrated lights on here as well. Up the brightness there. And while we're here, let's pull up some charts for our departure. I think we're on runway 33 on the way out. So we'll pin the airport information. And I don't think there are no SIDs for VQPR. So in terms of any instructions or initial climb outs, yeah, with just pretty significant visibility requirements. So yeah, so I think let's actually compare the flight plan to one of these approaches, because my suspicion is in real life there is no SID, but ATC would guide you out of the valley, or at least so you can get to a safe altitude quickly. But there are these waypoints here that I recognize from the approaches, or maybe even a missed approach. So looking at these charts, let's look at these waypoints. So Papa Romeo 752. Looking to see if I recognize them anywhere. Any of these approach charts. Oh, so okay, that seems to be the initial one here at the airport. Papa Romeo 750. Okay, so we'll be following these out, and it looks like the initial climb out altitude here is 15,400. Fascinating. Okay. So we'll probably visual on the way out before turning onto course, but let's make sure we get close to that altitude, which is about 7,000 feet above ground level. So we'll just stick to the valleys and make sure we don't crash into any mountains, and then we'll go direct nav to Papa Romeo 750. That should be the plan. So 15,400, we'll get that on the glare shield. Oh, nope, still in vertical speed mode. We'll just go up to 16,000. Be safe about it. Okay, that's fine for now. And to continue with our initial checks, we check this pedestal coming on down. Set to Unicom. We are in VATSIM tonight, but no controllers are online at the moment. So we'll keep that set there. Thrust levers are set to idle. Engine masters off. Engine mode normal. Engine mode is set to normal. Speed brakes are retracted and disarmed. Flaps are retracted, and rudder trim is 0. Doors open for the moment. Parking brake is set. All right. So with all that, let's go ahead and brief with the rest of the OFP, and then we'll program the box. So these are the primary waypoints kind of out of the valley, which we'll follow. Just looking at that chart again, Papa Romeo 728, Papa Romeo 724, and then Papa Romeo 746. Let's see the last fix, Papa Romeo 777, which is right about here. And then once, at that point we'll be clear of Paro. And it looks like we stayed 16,000 feet. Until then, that'll be fine. We'll get some nice views, hopefully. And then we'll go direct to Dagna. We'll brief the arrival when we get closer, but looks like there is no star assigned, at least. But we'll see if we may want to take one if there's still no ATC online. Alright, so checking the rest here. Flight number is correct. We're Royal Bhutan 9084. Cost index 15, flight level 390, nice and high. Triple pause is below that, and we'll get a nice tailwind of 34 knots. Alright. So that's good. I think that was nice and quick. Oh, and shear rate. Let's see. Are we expecting turbulence? Nope. Okay, this will be a pretty casual flight. Looking forward to it after the last one. Let's hop to the box and start setting that up, starting with data. IRSs should be aligned at this point. Yep, showing all nav. And check our engines are the correct ones and the ARX cycle is still current. Heading to the init page, init request. So Paro to Myanmar, alternate Victor Yankee Yankee Yankee, Bhutan 984, cost index 15, flight level 390, that's all correct. Tropopause here is higher than on the plan, so let's pump in the plan one. 34473, 34473, boom, great. Heading over to the flight plan page, there is no SID on the way out, so no additional work to program. There are also no VORs in the area. It's all GPS driven, it seems. So let's just take a look at the plan here and see if this all makes sense to us. Yeah, so Papa Romeo 752 is right above the airport, and next fix is directly to the west. So we'll be taking off to the north. So we'll climb out above the hills before we turn and go direct to Papa Romeo 750. And then from there, we can just follow that route out. Papa Romeo 777, and then direct to Dagna. We'll be on our way up to our cruise altitude well before then. And then, yeah, and then there's a discontinuity between Athadu and VYMD. So we'll go ahead and see what the approach options look like once we're in the air. But that looks good for at least getting us out of Paro. Perfect. Alrighty, so bring that back to ARC, and next up on the box. So no rad navs for this departure, which makes things a bit easier. Init 2, well first let's see how boarding is doing. We did that really quick, so we might still have to wait. Okay, yeah, we have about 26 passengers left to board. They'll be on in no time at all. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and do a weather request while we're here, just to see what the METARs look like, in addition to the operating flight plan. This is like a point of comparison. And we'll take an opportunity to take a look in our surroundings. Oh, you can see the snow line there in the distance, which is actually, that's a really cool effect. I'm actually going to take a drone cam real quick, because when we parked here, we parked in this stand, and I found this photo so fascinating. First of all, just the level of detail and resolution that they put in this custom airport. But this is apparently the king of Bhutan, and I was meaning to look up who this person standing with him is. I'm assuming his wife, but I know very little about the royal family of Bhutan, and just, I don't know, there's something just very compelling about having this man's picture so prominently featured at this airport. And then if we come over here, I just noticed this out my left window when we loaded up the sim, but I haven't taken a closer look. I'm guessing these are maybe, yeah, no, these must be former leaders of Bhutan. All very proud, very ornate, just maybe super curious about the country's history. Oh, and actually while we're here, let's go check out other details. This is a beautiful, beautiful scenery. Really nice. I wonder if the car designs are taken from what's actually used locally. That'd be an incredible amount of detail, but these don't really look like US SUVs, right? These look like relatively modest vehicles. Or maybe they're just well designed to be pretty generic. But yeah, single taxiway. Pretty easy to navigate around this airport. They do have A320s actually landing here, and I think only about a couple of dozen pilots are trained and authorized to land at this airport in a commercial jetliner like this one, which is why, I mean, we found the approach so difficult, because I'm not a professional pilot, but we still made it work. Oh, no one's inside, you know, because we're partying on the outside. So let's get the camera back top inside. Was that enough time to kill? Well, yeah, well, let's actually check our METAR message. Yep, it's all pretty consistent. We'll print it just for reference. And then we'll check to see how boarding's going. Boarding is complete. Great. So we'll go ahead and finish the rest of the box program. We'll go back to init 2. Our weights should be accurate now. 56.38 tons for 0 fuel weight. That is perfect. So we'll get that in there. And our fuel is 6.9. Well, first, before I put the fuel in, let's put in the tailwind to reduce calc cycles. So tailwind to 34. T34. And take a look at that fuel again. 6.9 for our block fuel. And then we'll do our fuel calculations here. And we'll put in the rest of the figures. There we go. From the OFP. So for contingency, we have 0.5, 2.3 for the alternate, and 1 for final reserve. So 0.5, 2.3, and 1. 0.5, 2.3, and 1 for final reserve, and that will give us 10 minutes of extra fuel. I'm fine with that because the alternate will be very unlikely to need to use. And now that the fueling is complete, we'll go ahead and turn the seatbelt signs on, turn on the fuel pumps. So the overhead is all set to go. Alright, final is performance. And I did this calculation in advance. I have an offline performance calculator that allows us to do flex takeoff calculations, which is what pilots use to reduce the wear and tear on the engines instead of just doing full power takeoffs. It allows us to do a takeoff roll safely based on the length of the runway and various weather parameters using less than full power, just to kind of save the engines some maintenance over time. So we'll be doing a single flap takeoff, and our trim will be up 0.8. Actually, let me just confirm that. Center of gravity, I didn't put this figure in yet because I didn't have it. So yeah, still up for 0.8. So put that in there. Our flex temperature tonight is 56 degrees. And transition altitude, that seems like a fine transition altitude given how high up we are, so we'll just leave that. I'm not sure if that's on the airport chart or not. I didn't see it. It's definitely on the approach charts. I think they do the transition altitude is 18,000. Perfect. Oh. Someone, oh, it looks like someone's on VATSIM doing the Subsu 1 arrival. Runway 33, although they're not telling me where they are. So we'll just make sure to stay on Unicom and just make sure that that we don't accidentally collide with them. But we'll continue the setup in the meantime. So yeah, 18,000 is fine. V-speed, these are going to be incorrect based on the flex, but they're not far off this time. But I'll go ahead and pump in the actual figures that we have from the calculator. So V1 speed 135, 138 for rotate, and 139 for single engine. And I think these speeds are a bit lower than normal flexes because this runway is not crazy long. It's something like what? Yeah, about 2,200 meters. But in any case, that is all set, and we are all good to go. So just going to look over the shoulder, see if we can see any planes approaching. Alright, don't see anyone yet, but I think we'll go ahead and I'm going to not do the emergency briefing tonight just to save some time. But let's do the before start checklist. Cockpit prep is completed. Gear and oh, actually no, not yet. Let's get the tug on here. Is there actually a tug? And we'll get off external power. Stay on the APU. Are we going to get pushback? Unclear. Alright, well anyway, let's see, are we getting... Oh yeah, well we have the ECAM memo, nose wheel steering disconnect, so that implies that we are connected to the tug. So let's just assume we are. Let's assume that when I hit reverse we'll actually push back. Okay, so gear pins and covers are removed, signs are on or auto, strobes to auto. Aiders are set to nav, fuel quantity is checked, takeoff data set, bow ref is set. Takeoff checklist to the line. Let's turn the beacon on, thrust levers are idle. Okay, so let's do before start checklist below the line. Windows and doors are closed, the beacon is on, thrust levers are idle, parking brake is as required. So we'll do our radio call. Paro traffic, Royal Bhutan, 9084, pushing back at Paro Airport. Alright, let's go. Yeah, so it's just working. So we'll set the engines to ignition and start engine 2. And we're going to take runway 33, which is down that way. Be very careful in these taxiways because there are scenery elements. If you bump into them, it will register as a crash, which is never fun. Hey Ivan, yeah, it is a beautiful airport. Microsoft did a really good job with this. Go ahead and hold here. Stop pushback. Set the parking brake. And assume that invisible tug is now going off to the side. Alright, engine 1 start complete. Sorry, engine 2 start complete. Engine 1. And nose wheel memo is gone. So yes, the invisible tug is no longer attached. And 1 is spooling up. EGT increasing, everything's looking fine. It's pretty cold outside, so taking a bit longer. Alright, engine start complete. We have 2 good engine starts, so go ahead and set engine mode selector to normal, and we can get the APU bleed off and shut down that APU. Alright, preparation for taxi, get the taxi lights on. Do our other set of pieces so ground spoilers are armed, flaps to takeoff, flaps 1. Pitch trim, let's set that now. Sorry, flight controls, we're doing an up 0.8, and while we're here we'll do our flight control tests. Full left, full right, neutral, pitch down, pitch up, and neutral. And we'll disconnect the nose wheel steering to do our rudder test. Full left, full right, and neutral. Great. So let's do after start checklist. Anti-ice as required. We'll leave that off for now, though we may need it if we're going through the clouds before a certain altitude. ECAM status is checked. Pitch trim is set, rudder trim is set to 0, and we'll go ahead and close our door. Probably should have done that before pushback. Alright, after start checklist complete. Make sure we're all set for taxi. We're clearing ourselves. We have to watch out for that traffic that was announced. Oh, and look, the fog just rolled in. Jeez, that's fun. Alright, I think we're ready to start rolling. Parking brake is off. Power. I'll have to be careful of that lamppost up ahead to the left, because I think if my wing hits that, it's all over. Alright, I'll brake to max. Our initial altitude is set. Oh, someone's trying to make a radio call. It'll be fun if we get to watch a landing. Alright, let's make sure my wing's not going to hit that.
Auto traffic, Bhutan 461 on final runway 33.
Alright, we are going to see a landing, and I need to get away from this pole. Good, I clipped through the other ones, but that one, I'm pretty sure I hit once before. Ah, Ivan, thank you so much. That would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? Instead of going down this tiny taxiway. I just assumed it was an error with the scenery. And the real one was actually larger, but I guess not. But anyway, we'll save time this way, because it'd be dangerous to back taxi now with a another plane on approach. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Auto traffic, Bhutan 461, visual runway 33, going for the final.
Alright, we should see him coming any second. They have visual, although we don't have visual on them. Oh no, wait, no, that's not them. But we'll go ahead and hold short here. There they are. Yeah, the way they were turning there, you could tell. They look pretty high, but I'm not sure if the sim is going to catch up. They look really high. Yeah, but he's doing it. Oh, and there they go. That's probably just the sim catching up. That probably wasn't as hard as he landed. Let's hope. Alright, cool. Well, the runway should be ours shortly. Let's go ahead and do our before takeoff checklists. Before I do that, I'll just call the cabin.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Takeoff test. Oh, and of course, turn on predicted weather, even though it's in-op. TCAS is set. Transponder set.
Traffic, Bhutan 461, runway 33, back 80.
Alright, they're back taxi now. ECAM memo, no blue. So let's do before takeoff. Down to the line, flight controls are checked, flight instruments are checked, briefing's confirmed, flap settings confirmed, V speeds are set, ATC is set, ECAM memo, no blue. before takeoff checklist to the line. So let's set our exterior lights. Put the strobes on. And set takeoff lights. So lights are set. TCAS is set. Packs will turn off for our flex takeoff. And before takeoff checklist below the line, takeoff runway is confirmed, cabin crew is advised, TCAS is set, engine mode is set to normal, packs are off. Before takeoff checklist below the line. So we'll just let him know that we're lining up. It looks like he's clear, but I didn't hear that he was clear. So let's just see if he wants to confirm that for us. Paro traffic, Royal Bhutan 9084, lining up runway 33. I'll just take it outside, cheating a little bit because we're using the general aviation taxiway. Alright, don't need to cheat anymore. Just do this turn at the latest possible moment so we can maximize runway here. That was a little earlier than I needed to. So let's take a few feet just to line up straighter. Still getting used to this tiller. I have a third joystick that I use specifically for the nose wheel steering, but still practicing it, honestly. Alright. Runway looks clear. Paro traffic, Royal Bhutan 9084, taking off runway 33. Takeoff. Power set 50%. Flex takeoff SRS. At this rate, I feel like we're going to be using every inch of this runway for this flex takeoff. 100 knots. Alright, we'll do toga next time. This is making me nervous. V1, rotate. Holy shit. Positive rate, gear up. So lesson learned, in mountainous areas, just do toga.
300.
Don't
Too
risk
low,
it.
Terrain.
Don't risk it.
Too low. Terrain. 400.
Alright, so we'll follow the valley until we get some altitude. Spoilers disarmed. And thrust climb. Turn those packs on.
2,500. 2,500.
Yeah, thank you. I'm running a
2,500.
Ryzen 3800X processor. The king of this PC rig is the 3080 Ti. I was lucky enough to nab one last summer from the EVGA Q, which allows you to buy it at MSRP, which was amazing. Alright. I'm going to make a left turn here, take advantage of this pass in the mountains. Again, I assume ATC would vector you on departure, given there's no SID to fly. And yeah, we're running at about 42 frames per second on ultra settings. And the fly-by-wire definitely takes quite a bit of frames away. I think they estimate about 17 frames are dedicated to the mod. So you can definitely get close to 60 frames with the 3080 Ti for sure.
Mic off.
2,500.
Mic on.
Alright. Once we get... I think we are safe to go direct to our next waypoint, so we'll go ahead and get that in the box there. Direct... What was it? Papa Romeo what? Papa Romeo 750. Interesting that's not here. Alright, Papa Romeo 750. Autopilot on. Alright. So really cool that we're able to take off towards the snow line. It's a few miles away from Paro. Halt. Oh, an ice detected. So that was the test. My assumption was that we should have engaged anti-ice before takeoff. But just wanted to see if the combination of pressure and temperature at this altitude was going to create issues for us. It looks like it did. So let's take a look at this chart again. This is actually an approach chart, but it has a lot of the waypoints we're flying on it. And make sure that we are staying at an appropriate altitude. Like we'll be following this river valley on the way out, and yeah, required altitudes never go above 16,000, so we should be good for a nice scenic exit. Take a look outside real quick. Small villages down there. Fantastic. Oh, and while we're on the topic of PC specs, also running 32 gigabytes of high-speed RAM. That is really of like the bang for your buck things you can do to improve Microsoft Flight Simulator performance. Upgrading your RAM really helps. 16 is just too little for this thing. Alright, so I'm well overdue to do the after takeoff checklists. Just want to make sure that we were on a safe course before we did so. So let's take a look real quick. After takeoff, landing gears up, flaps retracted, packs are... Oh, flaps are not retracted. That's why we haven't sped up yet. This is why these checklists exist. Packs are on. Bioref is set. We'll stay at local QNH until we clear ourselves above 18,000. Once we climb out, we'll do the 10,000 feet checks. I think Papa Romeo 777 is our final waypoint out of the valley. Get there in about 8 miles. This is a really fun departure. So pretty. Look at those light reflections off the river down there. I love that. Awesome. Alright, so at this point, we'll go ahead and clear ourselves to 390, which is our cruise for today. Thrust climb, open climb. We'll go to standard QNH. Get those landing lights off. To airport. And we are on our way. So 10,000 feet checks, we'll just do it now. So landing lights retracted, seatbelts as required. Set to airports, ECAM memos checked. We'll turn off the anti-ice once we get a bit more altitude. Nav aids are clear, we didn't use any. That looks good. It looks like there's a bit of turbulence out there. It's always hard to tell whether it's a flight simulator bug or if it's actually the live weather working as it should. In any case, we'll take a few moments just to climb further out of the valley before we brief what cruise is going to look like. I think we can turn that anti-ice off right now. So we'll keep seatbelts on until those bumps abate a bit. We've already got a robust tailwind there, about 52 knots directly behind us. So long, Paro. We're really getting our fair share of bumps up here, geez. All right. Still working through these bumps, eh? Really impacting our climb rate. We're probably going to burn more fuel than we want to. Let's check the operating flight plan to see when we should be getting to top of climb. Okay, so it's estimating quite a while. So we're on our way to Dagna. And then it's about 100 miles past it before we're supposed to get our top of climb. And if that tailwind continues to increase, that's going to impact our lift. Because while tailwind is great for pushing you faster over the ground, it is terrible for rate of ascent. Just literally takes the wind out of your wings, literally. Wow. There's quite a bit of fluctuation on the temperature. There's only by a degree though, so we might be like teasing different altitude or live weather boundaries for the sim. That could be impacting us, but as long as we continue to climb through it, I'm not worried. Oh no, well, I mean, that looked like a downdraft, jeez. Come on, keep climbing, you can do it. Alrighty. So all these bumps are making me nervous, and it's going to be a while till we're at our cruise. Oop, turn on the timer. Yeah. Let's talk about what we're going to do. So we don't have an assigned star heading into Myanmar. So we're going to take a look at the airport charts, see if there's one that we want to fly, because ATC is currently not online there, but we'll check as we get closer. There's definitely traffic. We saw a landing at Paro, which was fun. But yeah, no, we're just Unicom, at least for now. And usually when I get to cruise, I usually like to read about the destination we're going to. Of course, Myanmar is incredibly fascinating, turbulent recent history, if you've been paying attention to the news. But I usually like to focus on the history of the airports, of the places that we fly, because the airports, oh geez, losing altitude there. The airports tend to have very interesting histories. Like how they first came to be. When we crossed the Atlantic via Canada, Greenland, Iceland, we learned about all those initial airports were all for servicing British and American forces during World War II. And only after the war did those kind of seed airports turn into the commercial civilian airports that they became today. Alright, is that turbulence starting to soften out a bit? Looks like it might be. Still got a hell of a tailwind though, but we're heading up. Alright, so let's start to get an idea of what we're looking at for this flight. So, estimated time of arrival in Myanmar is 10 past 4 Zulu. It will likely be less than that once we get to our cruise altitude and cruise speed. But that's looking at just under an hour to landing. That's also not accounting for any approaches we may fly, because that's not programmed to the box yet, but just kind of give us a sense. And while we're here, I usually do this brief a bit later in the flight, but let's get out of the way so then we can just kind of chill out once we get to cruise. Get rid of these Paro charts we don't need anymore. Serve as well. And let's take a look. Oh, they've updated this. This is different. Nice. Mandalay Airport. Let's get the airport information. Also very simple airport, which is nice. And what runway are we? Oh, I hope it's the ILS runway 17, but maybe we won't be so lucky. Now it wants us to take runway 35. Dang it. So it might have to be a rather manual landing anyway, because the VNAV on the fly-by-wire is not really ready yet. Alright. Let's take a look at the weather again. And, you know, there's barely any wind, so we could justify landing runway 17. It's also more direct since we'll be coming from the north. I don't know, what do y'all think? Should we just ignore the flight plan? And, or not ignore, let's say let's alter the flight plan and land via the ILS runway 17. Coming from that direction, the ILS is safer without a VNAV system fully realized. And honestly, I'm feeling a little lazy tonight. It's a Sunday night. I gotta work in the morning. And I just wanted to chill out for a little bit after the Paro experience from a few days ago. So yeah, okay, I've talked myself into it. Unless there's any naysayers in the chat on YouTube or Twitch, I will go ahead and we'll plan for the ILS runway 17. Anything we need to know about this approach? Boy, are there stars? We're getting ahead of ourselves. So there are a few stars we could fly. This is coming from a southern direction. This one is probably more appropriate for us. Are any of these waypoints aligned with our flight plan as filed? Like, what is our last waypoint before the runway? Thadu. Okay, and I think I just saw that on that approach plate. Yeah, so this is our final waypoint before we can intercept the ILS. And I'm assuming, based on how this looks, that you'd probably get vectored to final. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. But let's plan to fly the Ebola 1 Whiskey approach to the ILS runway 17. Oh, that's so confusing. That's so close to the name of the waypoint. Tadao versus Thadu. I want to talk through this a bit more because what distances are we looking at here? Yeah, so that should be plenty of time to get to... The reason I'm hesitating is because Thadu is the last waypoint we have, but on an approach for runway, what was it? 35. So we would conceivably fly past the airport and do a turn here. But I think there's plenty of time to fly Thadu and then go direct to the initial approach fix. So I'm actually, you know, I'm not going to fly the star then, because the star is going to want us to go to this terminus waypoint here. We'll just fly this direct to the ILS. The ILS picks up at Tadao, which is how far? 10 miles from the Mike India Alpha VOR. Okay. Cool. But we should adhere to the altitude restrictions, and that's initially what I wanted to check here. We're going to hit... We're not going to fly via Abona, we're going to fly via Hilo Lima to Thadu. And that is... Let's do this. Let's plan to be at 6,000 feet at Thadu, and then we'll descend for the initial approach fix on the ILS. So let's calculate how far in advance we need to start a descent from Thadu. So 6,000 is the target. 39,000 feet is our cruise. Alright, so let's give us 110 miles to get to that level. So let's go to our box here. Add a fix. Tango Hotel Alpha Delta Uniform. and 110 miles radius. This will give us kind of a hacky way to see our top of descent line right there. This blue dotted line is the radius around that waypoint, and that will that'll tell us when we need to start getting down. Great. While I'm here, let's go ahead and put in distance to the runway. So how would I do this? So Victor Yankee Mike Delta runway, my memory is so bad, 17. That should give us the distance to the runway, and it does. That looks about right. Perfect. Alright, I know we're not top of descent yet, top of climb yet, but may as well program this all in while we're talking about it. ILS 17, no star. I'm just going to see if the other... Well, these are the available stars for that runway, so let's just see. Let's just see. I didn't see those other options. So the Dogip 1 Echo. We're not going to be a Dogip. Hee-Ho 1 Echo. We're not coming from Hee-Hoo. And the Thaddy 1 Echo. It's interesting. All the approaches for runway 17, all the stars rather, are from the south. But maybe that's the reasoning. If you're coming from the south and you're going to do a turnaround for runway 17, they have a star published. I'm just surmising now. This may be completely wrong. But if you're going to do a straight-in landing for coming from the north, may as well just do a straight-in. So no star, no transition. Insert. Great. 10 past 4. We'll see if that if we gain any time as we get closer to our cruise. We're almost there, so maybe not too much. Oh, and there's some restrictions that are already on there. So Thadu is when we want to be at 6,000, and Tadao, which is the initial approach fix for the ILS, is 3,350. Let's compare that with the approach plate. 3,350. That's correct, and we intercept the glide slope and localizer at 2,570. We may intercept it sooner, depending. Sweet. While we're looking here, just looking at the ILS minimums. Great, so 900 RVR. And, okay, while we're here, may as well just record our minimums. We'll just go ahead and... I don't know why I'm beating around the bush here. We're talking about our arrival, so let's just go ahead and do the whole thing. So for the approach, let's see, how much time do we have? It's about 40 minutes. This is normally when I get the updated METAR anyway. So let's go ahead and just check here, see what the latest is. So QNH is 1012 at our destination. Winds are very light, 361. That's a bit of a, well, actually that's a bit of a headwind, so this runway makes more sense anyway, even if it's only marginal. 18 degrees, 15 dew point. Back to the box. QNH 1012. Temperature is 18 degrees, nice and warm compared to where we just were, and winds 361. Radio minimums for this ILS approach for Class C is 310. Nice and low. Great. Transition altitude, yep, 7.5. Great. That all looks good. Oh, it looks like we're in cruise, which means, are we at 39,000? Just about. Just about. Alt cruise. So the latest 13 past the hour. Oh, we're dealing with a bit of a crosswind too. Okay. Alright, so that's all set. Get to chill out for a little bit while we wait for our top of descent. Still seems bumpy out there, so I'm going to keep the seatbelt sign on. Oh man, the clouds looks just phenomenal. Wow. I thought I'm going to take a quick look at my VATSIM feed. See if there's any other traffic. Oh man! VATSIM is lit up like a Christmas tree just north of us. The Chinese controllers are online, and like we just skirted their control border on our way out of Paro. That is hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, Kunming controls online. It's Monday morning in China. Maybe this controller is off work. Yeah, I see. He's covering the airspace above 24,000. Oh, well, in any case, there is some traffic ahead of us. No one seems to be going to where we're going. Let's double check that. So Victor Yankee, Mike Delta. Yes, we're the only scheduled arrival on VATSIM to that airport. Let's see. There's some traffic flying through that airspace ahead of us at similar altitudes. They will probably be long gone by the time we get there, but it would be an interesting test of the TCAS system. So let's actually set the TCAS to below. Does it pick up anything? Might just be too far away. I've been dying to test the TCAS. Since I fly the experimental versions, I can have access to those features. I see. The range of a TCAS system is about 40 miles, so they're definitely out of reach. Interesting. So there's a bunch of flights from Bombay. Well, one all the way from Europe, actually. Heading to, where are they going? Victor Hotel, Hotel, Hotel. Oh, Hong Kong. And there is ATC online there. And weather. Oh, so Hong Kong would be a fun place to fly to tonight if everyone's looking for a reason to hop on. All right. Well, while we're relaxing, let's take a look at Mandalay International Airport. Yes. Oh, Yangon International Airport. Where is that? Victor Yankee Yankee Yankee. Oh, that's our alternate. And I guess, oh, you know what? We didn't go there because we wanted to keep the flight time down. I think it's much further south than Myanmar. Yeah, so Yangon. It's also just one runway, but I think it's larger than Mandalay, where we're going now. Yeah, but Yangon is like way south, so it wouldn't have made sense for us to go there. But yeah, let's take a look. What can we learn? Well, let's look at a beautiful airport. You know, this is not going to be a custom scenery when we arrive, so. I'm not sure if it will look as good in the sim as it does in real life, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. So, it's a relatively new airport, conceived by the Burmese military government in the mid-90s as a way to increase foreign investment and tourism in Myanmar. When we wanted Mandalay to become a hub for flights to other major Asian cities, including Beijing, Hanoi, Bangkok, Kolkata, and Dhaka. So this is a bit outdated because of the the recent recent events in Myanmar, but due to the political reforms of the previous 20 years, the airport experienced an increase in traffic, especially daily flights to Bangkok and to China. Since 2010, domestic passenger traffic through Mandalay has been increasing by 20% every year. And growth in international flights has been up 60% annually, but of course I have to imagine that all changed when the government changed hands once again. Let's see if that's referenced here in this article. Well, the Mitsubishi Group of Japan in 2014 signed a concession agreement with the Myanmar government to operate the airport for 30 years. Oh man. It's a shame I am not set up to play music on this stream because I've had the songs from Encanto in my head all weekend. My family discovered this movie a couple of weeks ago. We watched it with my two boys. And yeah, I was kind of casually watching, wasn't really paying full attention. I'm like, oh, this is cute, this is fun. But gave it another watch recently, and I just, since then it's been like stuck in my head. Just absolutely awesome music, awesome story, really fun to watch with the kids. But it's like my kids had swim class this morning and we were driving home and my wife decided to put on one of the songs, and it's like one of those moments where, you know, normally you put on a Disney song, it's very controversial because not everyone's going to be on board to listen to Disney in the car, right? But we all just kind of silently agree that yes, this is happening. We are watching, we are listening to Encanto right now. It was great. Music's phenomenal. Lin-Manuel Miranda, geez, what a genius. Just noticed something. I'm in heading mode. I'm following the flight plan, but that does not make any sense. That might be a bug. Interesting. Well, what happens if I change the heading? Yeah, I'm following it, and then if I go back to manage mode, it doesn't want to go back into manage mode. That might become annoying. Well, the next waypoint's KKU, so let's try... What? Oh, something's bugging out here. Something is bugging out here. That's so weird. Why was that all... Let's do direct kilo kilo uniform. And then manage back to nav. Oh, we just passed KKU, so Kilo Lima, sorry. Direct Kilo Lima. Alright. We are good. But we need a, looks like we need to reprogram in our arrival. ILS 17. No star, no transition, insert. Thankfully that was easy to program. But do we need to do our approach information again? Nope, that's all still in there. That's fine. Everything else looks good. Oh wow, it's so weird. Just the flight plan bugged out. But you know, our top of descent is gone too. So what did we want there? We want to get to 6,000 by Thadu, right? Thadu. So Tango Hotel Alpha Delta uniform. 110 miles radius. Alright. It looks like we're vectoring like, whoa, to get back on this line here. Okay, we are coming up. I'm glad I noticed that. Because that would have really messed us up. So that's the chance you take flying the experimental build. Like, you get all the latest features, but you get very unusual behavior, just like that. Well, now that that's over, I'm going to enjoy the view a little bit. We'll be descending very shortly into Myanmar. Got caught up talking about Encanto, of all things. But yeah, no regrets. Great movie. Highly recommended. Alright, so that's our top of descent coming up at about 80 miles, 90 miles, give or take. It's just been turbulent the whole way, just bumpy, 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 bumpy. Beautiful landscapes of Southeast Asia beneath us. So what's going on? So we are still expected to be landing in about half an hour. It's getting kind of late here on the east coast of the United States. So I'm going to try to keep to that timeline. Gotta go to work tomorrow. Take the kids to the dentist. Alright, I think just to give us as much time as possible, I'm probably going to start the descent to Kilo Lima. I don't think we need to worry about kind of minimum safe altitudes. This is the mountain range to the east of the airport, which we'll be steering clear of for the most part. And no speed restrictions, at least we're not flying the Star, I'm just kind of using it for waypoint reference. We're hitting Thadu and then going direct to Dao. And yeah, not noticing any unusual speed restrictions. And the missed approach, that's nice and easy. It's 2,000 feet, basically on runway heading. And nice and long runway, so we can do a low brake setting for this approach. Birds in vicinity of the airport, fantastic. It'd be, you know, there must be someone working on a mod to simulate bird traffic. And it's like, it'd be done by someone who is just completely obsessed with realism, because the frequency of bird strikes doesn't happen that often. But I swear, if I loaded into the sim one day and I got my 1,000th flight or whatever and I hit birds, I'd be like, wow, like, yes, this is freaky, but no, that is amazing immersion. Like, this is so real. I think, actually, you know, that I talk about, I think X-Plane might have bird strikes. Could have sworn I saw a flight model that had a cracked windshield because something hit it, and I have to assume that's because they've modeled bird strikes. And if they have, you know what? Power to them. Alright, let's do our descent prep procedures, just make sure we've covered everything. So, make do is set. We've briefed our approach. We have some sense of the missed approach, but I don't think we'll need it. No ATC online, so we're going to clear ourselves down once we hit that that radius there. Uh, Go ahead and get that auto brake set so we don't have to worry about it. Set to low. Good, so I think our next checks will be, after we start the descent, the next checks will be 10,000 feet checks. We've already set our TCAS to below. Cool. And I still don't think we're going to see much traffic on the way down. There was some west to east traffic passing on the way to Hong Kong, but let's see where they are now. Checking my VATSIM map on my phone real quick. I'll give you all the play-by-play. Yeah, they're all clear of us, so there's not going to be any traffic on our descent. Still got nice, plenty of bumps. All right, 3 minutes to top of descents. That's the time when the ground will start getting bigger. Alright, so I'm going to talk about Encanto again, because I haven't said all I can say about Encanto yet, but there's this one song, which you may or may not have heard yet. It's We Don't Talk About Bruno, which apparently has been, like, taking over the charts. It's been streamed like crazy. It's a great song, but it sounds so much like, I'm going to date myself a little bit, it sounds so much like Let's Get Loud by Jennifer Lopez. I think Gloria Estefan sang that song initially, maybe a cover, but anyway, whether you know the Gloria Estefan version, oh my god, that was bumpy, or the Jennifer Lopez version, listen to those songs back to back and tell me that Lin-Manuel was at least partially inspired by Let's Get Loud. That's all I'm going to say about that. Alright, we're getting real close to this waypoint now. Gonna get our... Oh, no! No, I'm still in heading mode. Shit! Go back to nav. Go back to nav. I'm in nav. I haven't left nav. I just want that heading to go away. Alright, well if we execute this turn, I'll just assume we're still on nav. It says nav on the PFD. Our flight plan's still fine. I'm so paranoid now. Yeah, still looks good. Starting our turn. And let's start our descent. Manage altitude down to 6,000. Thrust idle descent. I have an overwhelming urge to sing Shorty Got Low, 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 Low. Apologies. That was terrible. We're going down. And I really want to get out of... I really want heading to go back to managed heading. It looks like it's still in managed heading. It's got that dot next to it. Alright, force it out. Back to nav. Okay, fine. Now we're in vertical speed. I'm going to go back to manage altitude. Okay. Thrust idle, descent, nav. We're fine. I didn't break anything. I'm not touching it again until we get down there. I think I just cleared us to below transition altitude. We could check that real quick on the performance page. Yeah, the transition altitude we already set, or transition level, because we're going down. Is an appropriate term, I believe. Since we're cleared to below, or we cleared ourselves to below that level, we can go to local QNH, which, just check again here, is still 1012. So 1012. All right. Getting down. I'm glad we started early because we do have this pretty significant tailwind pushing us over the ground faster than I think the calculator models at, so we'll need the extra distance to make sure we get down in time. Last few flights we've kind of gotten into trouble by not descending fast enough. Even though we were following altitude restrictions on the various stars we were flying, I have to assume they kind of guessed you were going either a lot slower, using speed brakes to assist. You definitely couldn't do a kind of standard managed descent and get to those flight levels in time. Let's get a broader look at our flight route from here on out. Oh, interesting. We'll have to see how this updates as we descend and also decelerate. Because it is kind of wonky. Like, we head to Thadu and then we do like a right turn to the initial approach fix. When honestly, it might just be better to go direct to the initial approach fix. And if this is still looking wonky as we get closer, we might just clear ourselves to the initial approach fix. We've already been taking liberties with our flight plan, so as long as ATC doesn't sign on by the time we get down there, we should be good. Speaking of, just make sure that we're still not covered by ATC. Nope. No one is covering Myanmar. China, again, is lit up like a Christmas tree. Lots of high altitude coverage in China, which is nice. Probably makes cruise a lot less mundane. And then of course, got lots of activity in Hong Kong, Seoul, again, just impressed that they have VATSIM coverage on a Monday morning. Alright, we got probably about a 10,000 feet head start, so we should be good to go. But man, the weather shifts. I still think live weather is a bit messed up. Passing through the 20,000s and you get all kinds of weirdness. Look at this. You see how the air temperature is fluctuating pretty heavily. It's not swinging like it did when it was really broken about a month ago, but alright, let's smooth out a bit. Poor passengers have been in their seats the whole flight. Still on track to land at about 1/4 the hour, so 15 minutes to go. We'll be on the ground. And I'll be on my way to sleep. So lots of signs of civilization out there. You know, it looks like farmland. Really beautiful rivers here. Very different than the scenery we left in Paro. We left mountains and snow-dusted valleys. Alright, about 70 miles out, give or take. Oh, 80 miles from the next waypoint. Which again, I'll switch to constraints real quick. It's a little early, but very interesting. The track that it's drawing and we're continuing to decelerate as we go down. Of course, once we drop below 10,000 feet, we'll slow to 250 knots. But we may want to slow down even further. Maybe once we hit 6,000 feet, we'll initiate the approach phase, start configuring, get us nice and slow so that we can make these turns. Because it seems like doesn't seem to be liking. Oh, I see. Yeah, there's the waypoint there. Yeah, you know what? Screw it, guys. I am actually going to just clear us direct to Tadao. Why make it harder for ourselves? Why can't I do that? Alright, you know what? Then let's do this. Do directed to Tadao. Boom. And you know what? That looks better. That looks better. Seriously, why make our lives harder? And we'll get down to 6,000. I'll just do a visual check to make sure that we can descend further, and then we'll just descend to the appropriate altitude for that initial waypoint there. It might be a 3350 when we cross Tadao. That's our 10-mile marker. Oh, let's get the rad navs in. MIA. We'll do our Unicom call then. Mike India Alpha. Yep, that's the one. And it looks like there's a non-directional beacon as well, so we may as well key into that. So, flip, and there they are. Great. Alright, so let's do some hacky calcs. Descending at 2,000 feet per minute. We're going to get to Tadao at 13 past. That's 8 minutes. That's, oh, plenty of time. Plenty of time. brightness a bit up. We'll be crossing 10,000 feet in about 90 seconds. We'll do our 10,000 feet checks then. Ground is getting bigger. Alright, getting close to 10,000 feet, and the plane is automatically slowing down to 250 knots. We'll do our 10,000 feet checks at this point. So landing lights are set. Seatbelts are on. Set to constraint. Landing system is on. Rad navs are selected and identified. Engine mode is as required. It's set to normal. ECAM status checked. Yeah, so at this point we could do our approach checklist. Briefing is confirmed. ECAM status is checked. Seatbelts are on. Bow rep is set. Minimums are set. Engine mode selector is set to normal. Approach checklist complete. Alright, 35 miles now from that initial approach fix. Oh, zoned out there, just enjoying the scenery. Absolutely stunning. About 20 miles out from recommended. Started the descent phase. And you know what, let's get ourselves down to 3350. So I guess 3400. And I'd say maybe when we're about 10 miles from the initial approach fix, we'll activate the approach phase. And just take our time, make sure we do this right. Nice straight in landing. Yeah, Burma is quite pretty. Based on the approach plate, we're expecting some mountains to the west, so outside the left window. So we'll see if they provide nice views once we're on the ground. You can kind of see them through the clouds, I think. The one variable we're toying with here is that we are flying the experimental version of the fly-by-wire mod, and we had some weirdness in cruise where my program flight plan just completely disappeared and we found ourselves in heading mode, and I had absolutely no idea, no indication, no warning. Definitely felt like a bug, but we were able to fix it, and we're back on the right path. Speed, Alt Star. Alt. Alright, so we're at the right altitude. Trying to see those beautiful details that Flight Simulator provides us. And in 3 miles or so, we'll activate the approach phase. About 21 miles from the airport. Alright, let's go ahead and activate that approach phase. Confirm. Yeah, it's starting to slow down towards green dot speed. Our ILS is alive. Great. Activate approach mode. Autopilot 2. Cat 3 dual. So yeah, we have the localizer, we don't have the glide slope yet. Oh, there's the glide slope just coming on. Glide slope and localizer are armed. We haven't done an ILS approach in a while, so just, even though I know it's typically easier, I'm just, you know, feeling a little rusty. Can't I You've flown this mod inverted and in barrel loops. I've never even attempted it. It sounds fun. I should try that in VR, honestly. Now, did you fly that fly-by-wire in Flight Simulator or in... Actually, does fly-by-wire have an X-Plane version of this mod? Mandalay traffic, road Bhutan 9084 on 10-mile final, runway 17 on the ILS. Start configuring green dot speed. Speed checked, flaps 1. Glide slope star, low star. And we are established. Glide slope. Loc.
2,500.
Radio altimeter is alive. He's struggling to slow down for some reason. Apply some speed brakes there, just guess S speed. Visual on the runway. Alright, speed checked, flaps 2. Gear down. Ground spoilers are armed.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Speed check, flaps 3. And flaps full. ECAM memo, no blue. Landing checklist, cabin crews advised. Auto throttle is on, auto brake as required. Landing checklist complete. Alright. Everything all set. Very light winds. I think at this point, let's hand fly her in, eh? Autopilot off. Right on the glide slope, got 2 white pappy lights.
500.
Tiny adjustments.
400. Minimum.
Continue.
300.
A bit high. Slight adjustment down.
200.
Stay on that center line.
100. 50. 40, 30, 20, retard.
Well, this is going to be a
Retard.
little harder than I want, I think. Or maybe not. That was actually quite soft. Reverse thrust. Reverse green. Decel. $70 knots. Still got to work on my center line problem. But that wasn't too bad. Promise I'll catch up on the chat in a sec. As you can tell, I'm a little busy. Let's see. Ah, the Challenger 650 hot start. That's the $120 like most realistic plane ever modeled, right? Barrel rolls, jeez. And I assume you're playing with all the safeties off, right? Alright, we'll just stop just past here. We'll do our after landing checklists. Mandalay traffic, Royal Bhutan 9084, clear of runway 17. Alright, friends. Looking for my checklists now. After landing, here we are. So of course, let's go ahead and disarm ground spoilers, retract flaps, get the APU started. APU 1, 2, 3. So our nose takeoff to taxi, get the landing lights off. Get strobes to auto, runway turn set to off because it's daytime. Let's set our ATC to standby, TCAS go to standby. Weather system will come off. Go ahead and clean up our glare shield. Don't need the landing system anymore. Don't need the flight director anymore. Alright. Anything I'm missing here? Brake temperature. Brake should be fine. Yeah, brake temperature's fine. Alright, so after landing checklist. Flaps retracted. Spoilers disarmed. APU is started. Radar is off. Predictive wind shear system is off. After landing checklist completes. Yes! Let's go find a place to park. Seems real busy. Real busy here tonight. But our commitment to realism is never waning. Much wow. Can't tell you. Am I a real life pilot? No, I'm not a real life pilot, but I do aspire to be one someday. I've already chosen a flight school, but I work in tech and it's treating me really well. So finding time to take off from work to get my PPL and hopefully my instrument rating, it's been hard to figure out the timing. I also have 2 kids. Not to get too deep into my personal life, but I've been wanting to get my pilot's license for a long time, just haven't actually pulled the trigger yet. So, using the sim to study. Which is also probably why I haven't been doing barrel rolls or, like, landing at 600 feet per minute. Good God. But you know what? Maybe I'll try. Maybe I should just let loose one night, you know, take a bottle of whiskey to the sim and just have at it. You're inspiring me, can't I? Alright. So there's just like one place to park, and we're just going down Alpha. So let's not make this more complicated than it needs to be. Alright, using that nice tiller. See, I recently fly-by-wire added the nose wheel tiller system. That's this handlebar over here that you're seeing turning. Which allows you to control the nose wheel separately from the rudder, which just really adds to the realism, which is awesome. I assume, can't I, this is available in X-Plane, because I think it's a more complete model there. But that also makes takeoff rolls a lot more realistic, because if you can use the rudders just to turn the nose wheel, but it only offers, I think, a 6-degree deflection using the rudder pedals, which means you have much finer control on your takeoff roll than you did before they implemented the tiller system. So it's just made takeoff so much more enjoyable. Oh, much sad. What part ruined your day? You say an engineer, are you a software engineer? Do you work in tech as well? Oh, wow. Geez, look at all of these gates we have to choose from. Ah. Now, sometimes the sim loads up ground services for us, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think, like, it kind of looks like it is down there. So let's go down to those last few gates and see if we can pull in. It looks like a catering truck. I see baggage. I see tugs. I see 2 of them. I'm assuming only one's going to work. Yeah, there's external power. You know what? This is the last gate anyway, so I want to use the jetway. So let's go ahead and pull in here. And nice and slow. I'm going to turn the lights off too so I don't blind anybody, although it is the daytime. Oh no, we're good. That's fine. Alright, let's turn in. That's the tiller at work. Nice tight turn. If you do it too tight, well, we overshot it. But we can correct. Yeah, Sim is doing some weirdness there because there's no one to flag me in. There's a bunch of services over there. I'm guessing it wanted me to go there, but man, I want to use this jetway. I bet you my wing is going to hit that truck. And there's no line guiding me in all the way. But let's cheat. Let's get an outside view here just to make sure I don't break anything. Oh no, I actually missed it. The power truck is totally in the wrong position relative to the jetway. But we will stop right about here. That looks good. Parking brake on. Confirm the APU is available. It is, so we'll shut down our engines. Engine 2 and engine 1 off. And seatbelt sign off. And we are here! We have arrived! We've made it! Let's see if we can get that jet bridge attached. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. Alright, that's not doing anything. Come on, how about here? Come on. Come on. Come on over. Alright, jetway's not working. External power. Can that truck come by? Oh, yep. Wrong part of the plane, and he crashed into us. Fantastic. And he's just backing up just through the cargo bay. Does not give 2 shits. Come on. Guys, we are committed to realism here. Alright, well, while he's doing his thing, let's do our parking procedures as I have them here. So parking brake pressure looks good. Parking brakes are on. Anti-ice is off. We didn't need it on the way in. APU is available, so get the APU bleed on while we're sitting here. Engine master switch is both off. Beacon is off because our engines are off. Seatbelts we already turned off. Exterior lights as required. Just keep those nav and logos lights on while we're sitting in here. Right. Parking checklist. APU bleed on. Engines off. Seatbelts off. Exterior lights as required. Fuel pumps off. Right. We don't need the fuel pumps on anymore. And parking brake and chocks as required. All right. How's that power guy doing? Oh, he made it, and he's attached. Let's see if that has changed the minds of the jetway folks. Nope, they just don't. They don't want us. Maybe this is true to life, because I think there are possibly travel restrictions to Myanmar at the moment. All right, well, let's just assume that all of our friends have deplaned, and we are ready to shut down for the evening, because it's 11:30 in the East Coast United States, and I am ready for bedtime. So securing the aircraft, parking brakes on. You can turn our aiders off at this point. 3, 2, 1. Exterior lights off, because we are leaving soon. APU, well, let's get external power attached. There we go, and now APU bleed, and I turn the APU master off. Emergency lights and signs. Bye-bye. External power's on. We'll turn the battery off last, because in the spirit of completeness, and to anyone on Twitch or YouTube that are still with me, thank you so much. Because like what I'm about to do right now, shutting down the plane, is really just completely overkill. Completely not necessary. But, you know, I grew up tidying my room when my parents told me to. So I like leaving the plane precisely how I found it. The one exception is like this weird bug where the APU actually doesn't shut off if you turn the screen off. Even now it kind of looks weird, like it should be spooling down, shouldn't it, since we shut it down a few minutes ago. But we'll just watch that and make sure. Anyway, okay, so we'll get everything else ready while we wait for those. Turn the radios off because we don't need VATSIM anymore. And then get these lights turned down, unlock the door so we can actually leave. Continuing my tour of overkill, getting these overheads down. And you know what? You can even turn off the fly pad. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. Such a detail. Alright, but now I really do want that APU to shut down. Really do. Gonna give it another few minutes before I start pushing buttons. What else can we do? We can turn the crew supply off. Shut down, shut down, shut down. Alright, well. Give another second. We'll check our surroundings. Oh, look, and there is the mountain range. Just to the east. But well clear of the city. Pretty cool. Alright, how's the APU doing? Ah, it's shutting down! Fantastic. Fantastic. Alright, so let's finish this. And again, I am just so thankful to the folks that are still watching on Twitch and YouTube. If you guys have enjoyed this attempt at realism with some foolery in between, please subscribe or follow. I'd really appreciate it. We're doing an around the world tour in the fly-by-wire, heading from Newark, New Jersey to Newark, New Jersey, just flying east until we get back to Newark. I think next time we're heading to Bangkok, if I'm not mistaken, and then we're making our way up the eastern China coastline and make our way to North America via Alaska, which should be pretty awesome. All right. Without further ado, let's shut down external power and get the batteries off and back to cold and dark. Except this is still on. I don't know why that's still on. But yeah, there we go. Get one last shot of Royal Bhutan Airlines. This is the last time we're flying this livery. And yeah, I'm really bad saying goodbye at this point, but the stream's basically done. Thanks again for watching. This was a nice chill flight compared to our flight to Paro last time, which was completely insane intense. We were able to practice go-arounds because otherwise we would have crashed. But yeah, this was very chill by comparison and very enjoyable. And thank you for coming along for the ride. All right, I'm really signing off now. I'm really going to go. Enjoy the rest of your evening wherever you are. And thanks for spending time with Mike November Whiskey. All right, for real. So long.